But this is the biggest one in the downtown core. It's 1,001 acres, just a little bit larger than Central Park in New York. But this is a natural setting for a park. There are not as many manicured parks as, let's say, Central Park in New York. Far more streams and trails, and there's a lovely lake in the middle. But there are some manicured parks. There's the Rose Garden just ahead of us. You'll have to come to Stanley Park to check that out.
And we did in another video.
So there's a 10-kilometer seawall around Stanley Park, about 6 miles. And it connects with another 20 kilometers of seawall, making for about 30 kilometers total, or 20 miles total, of urban seawall, making it the longest in the world. So Stanley Park is filled with hundreds of thousands of trees, lots of critters, coyotes, skunks, beavers, otters. On the outside of the park in the water, lots of seals and sea lions. And although Burrard Inlet is an industrial waterway, it is quite clean. Wasn't always that way, but it's been clean now for 20, 30 years. Pretty clean. Clean enough that killer whales, orca, like to come in and say hi and feed on some of the seals and sea lions, and salmon, of course. So what we're seeing off to the right is Cole Harbor, and it flows into Burrard Inlet. We'll see Burrard Inlet shortly. You could spend easily a couple days in Stanley Park, depending on what you felt like doing. There are a couple nice restaurants. There's a world-renowned aquarium, a number of clubs with Royal this and Royal that monikers. And of course the forest is looking quite lush right now with the deciduous and coniferous evergreen trees all in full bloom now. As far as the evergreens, there are lots of varieties: Sitka, spruce, hemlock. The two most important ones, certainly for First Nations, are the western red cedar, western red cedar, and the Douglas fir. So off to the right here, these ones with these sort of shag carpet looking like leaves, those are western red cedars. And the trunks often look like sort of dried leather. Whereas a Douglas fir, for example, on the left here, the one that's got a very chunky bark, just on the left you can see it's sort of got a curved trunk. That's a Douglas fir. And their needles look like a fur coat. They don't feel like a fur coat, but they kind of look like a fur coat, hence the name Douglas fir or fir. Anyway, those two trees are the ones that grow the straightest and the tallest, and are the ones that First Nations use in canoes and totem poles. And that's the variety that we'll see the most of on our trip today. Quite a few Douglas firs off to the right there. So now we're getting a view of the downtown as Cole Harbor flows into Burrard Inlet.
Mark, you shooting that?
This island off to the right is known as Dead Man's Island. It's actually a base, a military base known as HMCS Discovery, but its real name is Dead Man's Island. And the reason for that is when Europeans first arrived in the late 1700s, they found dead bodies hanging upside down from the trees on this island. Okay. And that's what the Squamish people did. They wrapped their dead in cedar, isolated them on an island or something, and hung them upside down from trees to let nature take its course. So the city of Vancouver sits on the land of three tribes: the Squamish, the Musqueam, and the Tsleil-Waututh. And today we'll be traveling mostly through Squamish country, and a little bit later through Lillooet country as well. So we can get a view now of Canada Place, which is the convention, Canada Place is the cruise ship terminal, and then the convention center is the grass roof. Both of them are convention centers. The grass roof one was built in and around the Olympics, so leading up to 2010.